Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready to take a bite out of the competition? Are you looking for ideas to make your business better? Welcome to the Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet,
sponsored by Apple Capital Group.
At the core of every successful business, you'll find people making a difference. And with each episode of the Core Business Show, we talk with those people, examine those ideas, and explore the strategies that make them special. Now, the host of the Core Business Show, Tim Jacquet.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Core Business Show. I'm Tim Jacquet, your host. Today, I have the pleasure of having two record executives from a new record company that's been formed, and it's the first one, one of the owners is Mesaan Wuor, and the other one is Kendrick Bedell. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and place a question in the chat room. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. How you doing?
Great. The name of your record company is Mezonic Records, right?
Yes. Actually, Mezonic Records is my record company. Kendrick Bedell has his own record company, but we've been doing work together for the past few years. So.
Great. Well, congratulations on the collaboration. I guess to begin with, kind of tell us about yourself. I guess we can begin with you, Mesaan, and then go with Kendrick, and you can tell us about himself as well.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Mesaan Wuor. I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. I actually moved to the U.S. in 1997. I was always involved with music growing up, but I didn't know back then that I was really going to be heavily involved later on in life, because at the time I really just wanted to do engineering or electronics. So when I moved here, I basically got into the business when I moved to Atlanta to go to school. I met a few people who were involved with music, and I was more in touch with the production side of things. So I kind of started learning from a few friends over there as far as production. And when I moved back to Charlotte, I decided to start my own independent record company.
Wow. And what about you, Kendrick?
Yeah, well, my name's Kendrick T. Bedell. I'm an executive and an artist by the name of Jimmy Black. Well, I started in the business since as a teen. My older cousin, they was doing like events with like Luke, Two Live Crew, Dayton Family, because I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. So I seen them on like big tours, and so because it was in me too, because I was writing since elementary school, and so I decided that's what I really wanted to do and pursue that since like the 90s. Right, currently I reside in Syracuse, New York. I'm the founder of the Upper State Independent Awards, which is an award show that's catered to independent artists, musicians, and entrepreneurs. We even have humanitarian awards. This October 13th is going to be the 6th year for the Upper State Independent Awards. So, I love doing what I do because as I always felt that the music is the words, and words keep us going. Just like with this conversation, and word keep us going. So I love doing that, and that's what we've been doing for the last year. Me and Mezonic, we got together several years ago on several tours we was working on, and decided that we needed to do something to be able to give back, because we realized, especially not only in Africa but all around the world, with literacy, the literacy is a thing that needs to be touched, because a lot of dropouts, and without education you pretty much can't go too much far. So we decided to go ahead and do the literacy and book drive. Currently, we're working on every year 2-3 schools in Liberia, and eventually we're going to further our goals to reach different countries as well.
Wow. A question, how did you come with Mezonic Records as a title?
Well, as I was growing up, like back home, a lot of my friends, they kind of give me a nickname called Mezonic. My real name is Mesaan, so it was just a nickname from my friends that kind of stuck with me. And when I started thinking about my record label, I was like, well, I need to come up with a name that's all about what I'm doing. And with the production side of things, I felt like I was doing a lot. I was producing a lot. I was basically writing my own songs. I had my own publishing company. So I was like, well, instead of having to use another name, I'm going to go ahead and just use this name as my record label, production, and entertainment company. So the name just pretty much stuck with me.
Hey, guys, how do you feel about the record industry today versus the record industry of yesterday? I know it's a lot easier to produce things today than it going back 30 years ago, even back 15 years ago. Can you explain how the things are a lot easier to get a record company off the ground now?
Well, man, to me, well, my company is called ATH, or Buddies Hoes Incorporated. But to me, it's a lot easier now because with the internet and the technology, because a lot of gear that would cost you maybe $300,000, you might get for $5,000 or even less. And then advertising and your promotions. Before we had the access to the internet, you had to have $1 million budget to reach another state or even the next country. But now with the internet, you don't have to have such large finance to be able to reach certain places. So I think it's definitely involved and made it a fair playing ground for a lot of different individuals.
I have mixed feelings towards that. As far as the music industry before, I do agree with the fact that it's easier to get in the business now. Anyone could basically start their own record label. They could learn a little bit about equipment and put their own studio together and start recording songs. However, as far as the sales of music at this particular point in time is a little harder because it's hard to get fans as an independent artist. It's hard to, you could even pay for promotions, but you might not get the type of promotions to really get heard compared to major labels. The major labels are able to spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their artists on P1 and P2 stations, satellite radio stations, as far as their music being in rotation throughout the country. But we, as independent artists, we just don't have that type of fund. So the only other option for us is the internet, which is still a great option, but it's still not a level playing field because if, for instance, one of us had major label backing, we will be heard nationwide. We will be able to do tours that will bring in a lot of people. So I still have mixed feelings about that. To get into the business as far as recording the music, it's easy, but to really get your name out there is still a really tough thing to do.
So even with the big boys and how the industry has changed within the last 20 years, you still have that challenge of trying to get airplay or just try to just get noticed? Or do you think that the cream will rise up if the person's talented enough? It will just filter its way through the top.
Well, talent is not the only thing at this point. To be honest with you, it's really about who you know, and it's about money. If you have the funds to really pay for your promotions, it's really easy to get heard. I've contacted tons of DJs, and some of them were charging me $5,000, $10,000 to do a mixtape. And most of the artists, unfortunately, who are able to really get this type of airplay are people who maybe are selling drugs and they have that type of money to waste, whereas most of us, some of us, we are family men. We're working individuals, and we just don't have that type of fund to just put towards music, especially like a mixtape situation, because the mixtape is actually a free music. It's free music anybody could download, or free music. Most of the times artists don't really sell mixtapes. They just give it out for free. And if I have to go and pay a DJ, but the trade-off in the whole mixtape industry or mixtape business is you're going to get popularity. So people are going to hear about you, but you're going to be dealing with maybe a high-profile DJ who is charging you a lot of money. So it's a little bit.
Just to add on that, you got to have talent. If you have talent and you're very talented, it's going to go further. But then it comes also down to your fan base. Just because certain DJ is going to, your fan base, who you want to get your music out there too. Certain DJs have certain crowds. And so it depends on your strategy and depends on, like, back to what we saying with your distribution and who you get in contact with to be able to get that particular music heard. Sometimes you don't have to spend that much, and sometimes you do if you have that budget. But, you know, you got to definitely have talent.
Is it such an animal to say you can run it off marketing plan off a shoestring budget with this particular industry?
Yes. I mean, you really can't run a real marketing plan of a small budget. I mean, it depends on what your plan is about. If you're trying to target a lot of audience online, like dealing with the online radio searches, you could probably do that. But if you're trying to reach to another level of getting like national attention, it's very hard. I mean, I'm just speaking from my point of view. I don't know what Kendrick experienced over the years, but I've experienced a lot of radio promoters that I spent thousands of dollars on, and as far as promoting my albums. And to be honest with you, I got a few airplays here and there, but I really didn't see significant amount of CD sales or even single sales on iTunes with all the money I put into it.
Right.
So the music business now is just a totally different business, because it's like it's hard to get in, number one, but when you do get in, it seems like you have to have that good financial backing to really help you to propel your career.
I look at that, like, over the years, it's been as an artist and executive, it's like two different things, because, you know, the artist just focuses on the music, and the exec, you got to get events and different things of that nature, but just staying focused and planning things out would definitely get you going. But see, there's different things as far as with the shoestring budget. You know, as an independent artist trying to get a nationwide campaign, that's like a shotgun approach. We've been taking that approach for years, and to a lot of degree, it doesn't work, especially if you don't have that finance and that backing as a bigger label. And what I've been finding out lately, I say over the last 8 months, that word of mouth definitely still is the key tactic to being successful in any business, and especially in this business. Word of mouth, and one person can tell like 100 people, and that could just spread rapid, similar to the viral marketing campaign. But you know, depending what is that shoestring budget, like Mesaan said, with the right plan and the right goal, you could definitely make something happen.
Wow. So even with this particular plan, is it easier to get investors to buy into, get venture capital for this type of industry?
It's a great question, man. That's a great question. I went to many investors, and some was with the idea, but then when it comes down to bringing the capital, they kind of backed out. As an independent artist, a lot of investors, they pretty much want to see you with that fan base, and like we've been doing for all these years, investing in ourselves. You have to invest in yourself in order for anybody to invest in you.
Speaking of the label or the artist itself, you got to actually have both?
To me, my experience, I mean, Mesonic could definitely answer this, but you have to have both. Pretty much customers and the fans, unless they're true music lovers and listen to the words, they're on the bandwagon. So just like a commercial, if the commercials are played a lot of times, you start saying that commercial.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say something. The music business today, I mean, it's really good and bad, because the thing is, as far as the audience, you know, you have a lot of kids who are tuning to BET, to MTV, VH1, and they're looking at these big stars. And then you're in your local area, you're telling people you're an artist. They basically want to see the same type of videos or hear the same professional quality of music as compared to what they're singing on TV. Anything less than that, I mean, it's gonna put you in a place where it's even hard for you to get fans. Now, there is another route to take, with the whole music thing. And over the years, I've really been doing a lot of research and studying myself on how I could really expand my business and gain fans all at the same time. And that route is starting out as a local artist, but starting out as a local artist and really paying attention to what people want. So when you start doing these local shows, you start collecting maybe phone numbers and email addresses, and then start trying to keep in touch with people and start putting out quality music. It's like not spamming people, but every once in a while you send them your new song or new video, and I encourage them to come to your shows. For doing that method on the local level, you're definitely going to get some success as far as even selling CDs and stuff like that. For the national level, it's just a different ball game because you got to focus everywhere you call. They're going to be like, how much do you have to spend on a publicist? How much you have to spend on marketing? How much you have to spend on promotions? Even distribution, you have to spend money on that too. And you could I have CDs in Best Buy. I mean, I had a few sales here and there, but guess what? At the end of the year, I got like a box full of CDs coming right back to my home because you have to constantly spend money to promote yourself on the air. And that's just the way it is. To get investors is not easy. It's not easy, but you could find a few that might really buy into what you're doing, especially if the music is good. So that would be my answer to that question.
Question when we're talking about CDs, CDs fade out, and the only platform now you will have is the biggest player right now you have, of course, is iTunes. Any other big players that come to mind that you can actually now distribute your music electronically?
Yeah, well, you could definitely distribute your music electronically. I mean, by using MP3s. I mean, like for instance, if your fans check out your website and you have a new song, or you could give them free MP3s for signing up to your website or something like that for being on your email list. So you could use that, but I think CDs are not really out of the ballpark because eventually, later on, a lot of people still going to want CD because CD is, how you call it, it's like, it's actually so improved that, you know, you like something and you actually have a tangible product in your hand. So the artist who's going to stick around for a while, later on in the future, people still going to look around and really search for the CDs. If the major labels weren't even putting a lot of CDs out, they'll probably be selling out of stores because the few people who still love CDs will still go to the stores and buy the actual product. But the people who, of course, are into the iTunes and downloading music, they'll still go to the newer platforms.
Okay,
you know, we have to add to that what you're saying though with iTunes and like CD babies. Those are different distribution channels that you can use digitally at the same time. Just because you submit and let them distribute your music or have your music for distribution, because that's what it is. They're holding your music to be distributed. You still have to pay extra money to get more distribution because they got to open pretty much. You have to find more channels because they only use their channel that they have. There's more. There's a whole lot of different distribution channels.
Any other distribution channels besides of a person who's coming up? I mean, everybody really dependent on iTunes and or the CD place like houses like Amazon to get your music? Those are the big players in this market now that can get things done. Because even some department store, well, not department stores, Walmart, Target's pulling back some on CDs. Those are the only places that you can get your CDs.
No, not at all. I mean, on the local level, even the national level, there are a lot of independent record stores that will still carry your music. The thing though is, how are people going to know your music are in those stores? So if you like myself, finding ways to build a national audience, it's probably good to keep in contact with some of those stores, because what you could do is, at least like in major cities like LA, New York, Atlanta, Miami, you could have at least 5 to 10 CDs in each city and have that on your website, so people who are your fans and they really want to actually have a copy of your music, they wouldn't have to go through the hassle of ordering online and waiting. But I think ordering online and waiting is good. If you're a real fan, I mean, if you could order T-shirts or shoes online, you could order CDs online. So, but some people just want to have it at that particular time. So you still provide them with the option of doing that. So you could contact local independent record stores, and I mean, most of them will ask you what type of marketing are you doing in this area. If you have maybe a street team or someone on the ground in that city that could maybe pass out flyers or something of that nature where people could know about your music, that could be another channel. But mostly when you sign up with like a company like CD Baby, they'll distribute your music to iTunes, Amazon, and like so many other digital partners. So it'll be like worldwide. Like anyone who hears about you or saw your video could basically search you up on Google and find your music with one of those digital distributors.
Well, last question regarding the industry. Tell us about, I mean, is it still you guys become members of the RIAA, or there's there another division that can help you kind of form your business and also be in an association to make more contacts?
Right, true. Like I'm with ASCAP, and they definitely have different seminars, and they have different networking opportunities for you to be able to network with other musicians, writers, directors, producers. So, but all you have to do is just find a way. You just travel to these different locations that they try to set up the different meet and greet.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm also with ASCAP, but you know, like you could also, like, independent artists could also join the Grammys. I've had tons of opportunities to join the Grammys organization, not be like just to be a regular member, because when they're having events, you'll hear about it and you could definitely travel to kind of network. But I'm with ASCAP, and then they have BMI and other performing rights organizations out there that could definitely help you out. But right now, it's really about networking with the music business. You could find anyone online. My advice for new artists or new record label producers or managers is to do as much networking as possible and join some of these organizations, because they will help you to take your career a little further.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on in this interview and sharing all the information.
Thank you so much. And before we go, can we just talk a little bit about what we're trying to do again as far as providing some educational support to Liberian schools?
Okay, just go ahead and go ahead.
Yes. So my partner and I, Jimmy Black and I, we're working together to help a few schools in Liberia, mainly 3 schools every year, and to provide them with old computers, books, any type of monetary donations. We're working with 2 charity organizations. One is called the J.J. Roberts Alumni Association, and which is a school in Liberia, and the other one is the Upper State Independent Awards. But if anyone wants to donate, feel free to contact us at www.mrpellc.com.
Okay. And what's that address again?
The website is www.mrpellc.com, or you could just search for Mezonic Records, and you could email us on there, and we'll contact you by email or by phone.
Perfect. We're going to leave it at that. Go ahead.
You can also call 315-863-7323. That's 315-863-7323.
Okay, perfect. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming out to the program. We're going to sign off and get ready for the next interview, which is the next 2.5 minutes. And we'll have one of your artists on. Thank you guys for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
We'll look to having you back. Okay.
Thanks.
Great. This has been another production of the Core Business Show with Tim J.K. We're going to You can download this on iTunes, on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a great day, and tune in for the next show in the next 2 minutes. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet. For a free quote on equipment leasing and financing, visit our website, applecapitalgroup.com. That's applecapitalgroup.com. And fill out the information to receive your free quote. We hope you'll join us for our next episode. And remember, you can always get to the core via iTunes. You'll find all our previous episodes there. Thanks again for listening to the Core Business Show with Tim Jacquet.